Okay, I want to invite our first guest speaker. We have two guest speakers. Our first guest speaker is a longtime Hope member. She's been around here for 20 years, and she's an expert in this field. Please welcome Liz Cox.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Yeah, 20 years. My goodness, back when we didn't have any of this. It was just a little bitty bit over there. So yes, I'm Liz. I have had my own kids sit in these exact chairs in the Power Life program here, and have been a member of this Hope family, raised my kids in this Hope family. It's fantastic. So it's an honor for me to get to be here with you tonight. And thank you so much for moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas and guardians for coming tonight and sharing in the conversation around brain health. So first challenge to you tonight is to change our language and referring to mental health as brain health. We're really working as a community of advocates to change our words. The brain is an organ just like our lungs and our heart and our kidneys, and can get sick just like our lungs and our heart and our kidneys can, and can be treated just like everything else and return to health. So we're asking everybody to change their language to brain health as a way to address that stigma. One of the hardest things in brain health is to admit that we all have brain health. Everybody has brain health, and that sometimes our brain health is suffering, and we need either help from our friends or help from professionals. And sometimes the hardest part about that is knowing what to say when, how to ask for help, what does help look like, and then our own ability to build resilience in our own brain health. So we're going to talk about some of those things tonight. Brain health and resilience. I'm going to ask you to have some elbow conversation, so we practice saying words here. We're going to be awful at it because it's our first time, but the more we practice, the better we become at it, all right? So get ready, we're going to talk to each other tonight. First of all, I want you to do some thinking. How many of you can think of someone that's having a tough time? How many of you might be worried about something going on in our community? I'd love you to now, with your elbow partner, have a brief 15 to 30-second conversation about what's on your heart, what's worrying you. And when I raise my hand, that's kind of a clue that we need to come back together. So if you see me raising my hand, would you also raise yours so others around you can notice that we need to come back together? So right here with your elbow partner, short conversation, what's on your heart? What's troubling you? Is there something going on with somebody or in our community that you're worried about? Okay, awesome job. I see lots of arms waving. Okay, can anybody think of something we've been living through the last, 2 or 3 years that's been kind of troubling for our community? Anybody heard about the pandemic? Yeah, right? So we as a community have been going through a recovery. There is no science on pandemic recoveries. There's science on recovery from tornadoes and floods, so that's the closest data that we can come to. But it does give us a sense of where are we in this process. You notice that we had a pre-disaster. Some of you might not remember. Maybe you were a lot younger then. I remember 3 years ago we were pre-disaster. Oh my gosh, this is coming. It's going to be over in just 2 weeks if everybody just stays home. Then there was the disaster, right? And we've been on the road to recovery. And you can see that road to recovery is pretty bumpy, isn't it? Yeah, we don't usually spring right back to everything's fine after we've had something as significant as a pandemic. And you can see at the bottom right there, it says, resume roles and activities and develop new normal routines. New normal is where we're at, right? And the pandemic has taken a big toll on all of us and on our brain health. So, did you ever wonder what you could do to help that person that you're concerned about or that situation that really concerns you? Science tells us that the little things that we do every day make a really, really big difference. And we're going to talk about what some of those little things are tonight. Science also tells us it's all connected. Our brain health is connected to our relationships, and those two things affect our community. And we as a community right now, we're suffering. So let's first talk about trauma. We're talking about an emotional trauma, not like a bop over the head, a physical trauma. We're talking about an emotional trauma. First, we have to understand that trauma is personal. So what might be scary to one person is totally not scary to anybody else. So if you think about something that really freaks you out, I know somebody that really doesn't like to fly. I love to fly. I know somebody that gets freaked out when the lights go out. That doesn't bother me. Somebody that doesn't like snakes. Most people feel that way, but not everybody. Some people have pet snakes, right? So you have to remember that trauma is really, really personal. So if somebody is experiencing something that's traumatic or scary to them, might not be scary to you. It's kind of important to show up in a way that's caring and understanding. And another thing we know is that relationships can either make that scary thing better or worse. So think about something that's kind of scary to you, and when that scary things happen, what do you want to do? Like, let's say you had a rough way into school yesterday. It's a tough morning. Maybe the bus driver was late, or you almost got in a car accident, or I don't know what. Just imagine if you had a tough time yesterday getting to school or to work. What's the first thing you want to do when you get to school or work? You usually want to tell somebody. Oh my gosh, you won't believe what just happened to me, right? It's true for all the traumas in our life. So imagine what it's like if you don't have anyone to tell. Have you ever experienced that? Oh, I wish I could talk about this, but I just don't know who I can trust to tell. Relationships matter. And in the absence of trusting relationships, trauma can have a long-term effect, and it can actually change the structure of your brain. And that can lead into adulthood or longer, right? So let's talk about relationships, because boy, she's been talking a lot about relationships. We're only like 2 minutes in, right? So let's talk about what we mean about relationships. Relationships are trusting, caring relationships. That's what we're talking about, which are cultivated over time after we've had a lot of brief interactions. You and your small groups, guess what you're developing? Relationships. Yeah. So they're not the number of followers that you have on Insta or TikTok, shares, my era, Facebook likes or followers, right? Those aren't what we mean when we say relationships. When we mean relationships, we mean people that you can sit down and talk to about stuff that's really on your heart. And what science tells us is we need at least one. If we don't have one, we're in big trouble. We can have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's fine. Doesn't much matter. What matters is that we have at least one. So, with your elbow partner right now, I'd like you to talk about a couple of people in your life that mean a lot to you. Someone said me, thank you. Is it a teacher? Okay, awesome. Some of you might have sent a teacher or a coach or your youth group leader, a neighbor, a parent, a scout leader. Those are all awesome. So relationships help us build resilience. Has anybody heard that word resilience? Probably 100 times in COVID, right? Here's a couple things we need to know about resilience. You weren't born that way. It's cultivated over time because we learn skills. We learn things that help us become more resilient. And we learn those things from those people that we just talked about. Who taught you to tie your shoes? Who taught you your math facts? Who taught you to pray? Right? Lots of different people in your life to help you build resilience. So let's talk about what some of the skills are. This is a super most hard one, ability to calm oneself sometimes. Okay, who's an awesome person at calming themselves? Not me. All right, let's talk about something that might be kind of scary for everybody. Anybody ever see a bear in the woods? Some of you have? Okay, let's everybody go on a little hike right now. If you could just think about putting on a backpack, okay? Your backpack, maybe think about what's in your backpack. Okay, and now we're walking in the woods, and it's beautiful Iowa day, and there's trees everywhere, and it's just, you can smell the forest, and the sky is blue, and you're coming around, oh, by the way, you're by yourself. You're coming around the corner, and oh my gosh, there's a bear. What are you gonna do? Someone's gonna take a picture. There's always one. Yep, you're gonna take a picture. That's great, I love it. Okay, some people are gonna run. Someone's gonna play dead. Is anybody gonna feed the bear? You're gonna take that granola bar out of your backpack and chuck it at the bear. Okay, all right, so our normal response when we get in a scary situation like seeing a bear, okay, we have this hormone that jumps into our body, it's called cortisol. Whoop. Fight, flight, freeze, appease, right? So if you're gonna fight the bear, you're fighting. If you're gonna act like you're a tree, you're freezing, right? If you're running, you're fleeing. If you're feeding the bear, you're appeasing. So let me put this into context. Think about I don't know, last time your mom was really mad at you or you really disappointed somebody. Can you feel that feeling in your body right now? Your palm's a little bit sweaty, your stomach's a little knotted up. Okay, well, this would happen in my house when we all knew that mom was mad because mom was a stomper, okay? She would stomp in the kitchen, she'd slam the door, the cabinet doors. We'd all know mom was mad. Okay, here's how my brothers and I would react. I had two brothers. One brother would come stomping down the stairs from his bedroom. Mom, what's going on? Why are you so mad? Blah, 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 blah. Which one was he? Fight, flight, freeze, appease. Which one? Fight. My other brother would get on his bike and go to a friend's house. Which was he? Running away. My dad would lay on the couch and continue to watch football. Freeze, that is right, trying to hide, yes, freeze. I would go up and clean my room because I did not want mom to get mad at me and yell at me, have any reason to get mad at me. Which was that? Appease, correct. So think about the ways that you react and respond when you're upset and you're in your downstairs brain. That's what that's called, your downstairs brain. When we're in that fight, flight, freeze, appease mode, our brain's not functioning. It's really hard for us to stay focused, to think, to remember what we just said, to choose the right words. Lots of words come out that you shouldn't be saying when you're in your downstairs brain, not very lovingly. When we're in our upstairs brain, we can think and learn, we can have caring conversations, and we can remember the things that we said. We could talk about what's going on in a way that is productive. So how do we get from our downstairs brain to our upstairs brain? 4 easy steps. Number 1, breathe. There's this chemical in our stomach called serotonin. We're going to call her Sarah for short. Easier to remember. We need to get her up to our brain, and she lives in our stomach. And the way we get her there is by breathing. We move our stomach in and out to get that chemical out of our belly and into our brain. So let's practice. Everyone's going to take a really deep belly breath. And we're going to blow it out. When we do, just think about your belly button going in. And we're going to do that as many times as we need to calm down. Number 1, breathe. Number 2, drink some water. Those chemicals in our brain, they need to be metabolized. Drink some water, eat something, grab an apple, granola bar, I don't care what it is. Get some food in you. And the 4th one is time. We've got to have time to metabolize that chemical in our body and calm our brain down. Here's a fun fact. Cortisol for teenagers, twice the level of what it is for adults. So anybody think that teenagers overreact sometimes? Sometimes people do. There's a biological reason. You have a lot of cortisol going on, and if we grown-ups had that much cortisol, we'd be there too. Time. Don't go into any hard conversations when you're in your downstairs brain. Think about some little things that can put you in your downstairs brain. You just got into it with your teacher, or you just got a phone call from the teacher, or you just had a hard conversation with somebody at work. Little things can get us into our downstairs brain, and the quicker we recognize that, hey, I'm in my downstairs brain right now. Now's not a good time for me to be talking about this. I need a few minutes to calm down, and I'll come back and join the conversation later. Self-regulation, critical in developing resilience. Number 2, learning to ask for help. Raise your hand if you love asking for help. Hardly anybody. It's okay, nobody does. Why don't we like to ask for help? It's scary. Why is it scary? You think you're going to yell at you. Usually people don't like to feel stupid, right? And when we ask for help, we wonder if people think that we're stupid. We're not. How many of you guys know everything? We got one taker. There is somebody who knows everything. God knows everything. We don't. We absolutely do not. We absolutely need each other. So, who are you willing to ask or accept help from? If you need help shoveling the driveway, or fixing your iPhone, or name it, cutting the pizza, or changing the bike tire, who do you ask? What are the qualities? What are their qualities? Hard worker. Usually it's somebody that we trust. Yeah? Someone that's not going to make us feel stupid when we ask for help. I'm really bad at accepting help, and I ride RAGBRAI, and I don't know how to change a tire. And so, I ride RAGBRAI, the tire bus, and I can't change it myself. And 300 people are riding by. Do you need help with that? No, I don't need help with that. Of course I need help with that. It takes me a long time to accept help to change my tire. I try it, but we will only accept help from people that we trust and aren't going to make us feel stupid. So think about that as you're showing up as a helper. And why is it important that we have the ability to ask for help? We have to practice asking for help. So with your buddy right now, I want you to think about something small that you need help with, like, I don't know, shoveling the driveway. Okay? Something small. And these are the words. I need help with blank, and fill in the blank. Just something silly. I need help with blank. We got to practice saying the words. I thought I had to. Doesn't have to be real. Can be absolutely fake. I need help brushing my hair. Excellent. Okay. Why is it important that we're good at asking for help at little things? I'll tell you. The easier it is to ask for help for the little things, the easier it'll be to ask for help for the big things. So, what are some big things? What are some big things that kids your age might need help with? Shout it out. Math, reading, what else? Friends, dating, sleep, food. Yes. 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 Grieving. Yes. A broken relationship. Feeling alone at school. Somebody's bullying me. I don't know where I belong. I don't feel like I get along with my friends anymore. I feel like hurting myself. Maybe I don't want to live anymore. Yeah, whoa. It's real. And we've got a problem in our community with our young people and our young adults. Our suicide rates and our need for brain health is higher than it's ever been. We have to get really good at asking for help for the little things and really comfortable with knowing where to go and who to ask for the big things. And who do we like to ask for help from? People we trust. People we trust. Relationships are critical. So my challenge to you when you leave here is to ask for help for everything, the littlest things you can think of. Because the more you ask for help, the better you get at it. And the easier it'll be when you need help for really, really big things. Here are some other skills that build resilience. I just popped a few of them up. There are a gajillion of them. But there's one of them going on right now. Does anybody can see what that is? Connection to a faith community is the right answer. Absolutely. I cannot tell you how many times the Hope family has lifted me from a really hard spot. You are doing it here tonight and every Wednesday night that you come. Connection to a faith community, really important. The last one I'll talk about is expressing your feelings. We're not very good at that. When we do it, we need to be able to do it when we're in our upstairs brain, and we got to practice. I feel blank when you blank because blank, I want you to blank. I'd really like you to write that down. I feel blank when you blank because blank. So think about that person that you were worried about at the beginning. And if you were going to think about your feelings for that person, what would you might fill those blanks in with? Would it be positive or negative? Most people go negative, I'm going to be honest. Let me tell you, the people that you're worried about, they already know that, they're not batting 1,000, they're not perfect, and so we need to double down on our positives. I feel great when you give me a hug because it makes me feel connected. I want more hugs. I feel comforted when you tell me how you feel because I feel less confused. I want you to keep doing that. Lastly, I want you to think about one small thing you can do to improve your brain health. I just dumped a whole bunch on you. One small thing is all it takes every day to keep our brain health positive. And lastly, when we all do it together, we have a more resilient community. I'm going to let you take a picture of this. These are resources for brain health right here in our community. You can call, text, or chat Your Life Iowa. You can call National Suicide Prevention Hotline. If you call Polk County Mental Health Mobile Crisis, they will come straight to your door. And Unity Point Walk-In Clinic. Some people are kind of scared about what does it mean to get help for my brain health. I'll tell you what it's like. You see this thing on my foot? It's a boot. I've had it for like 6 hours. How did I get this boot? Well, I didn't take care of myself last spring, and I just let it get worse and worse and worse. So today I had to go to the walk-in clinic, and I checked in, gave them my name. I waited in the waiting room for a while. They called my name. I went to go see with the doctor, told him what was going on, and he put a treatment plan together. Guess what it's like when you go ask for help for brain health? Exactly the same. You walk in, you give them your name, you sit in the waiting room for as long as it takes, sometimes longer than you want. You go meet with the doctor, you tell them what's going on, they put a treatment plan together for you. It's just that simple, and it's available here in our community. Please use it. Thank you for spending your 20 minutes with me tonight. I so appreciate it. And if anybody ever needs a buddy at a walk-in clinic, I'm it. Thank you.
Hello, friends. Hello, hello. Let's say thank you again to Liz for joining us tonight. It was awesome to have her. Awesome to have her. Hey, my name is Melissa, and there's a few things that I get to do around Hope. I get to teach some classes, but the other thing that I get to do is I get to pray. And right now, there are people in the back of the room praying for you. In fact, we were gathered in a huddle earlier tonight, and some of the things as we were praying, the team felt like there would be people in the room that might be struggling with these things. And so if this is you tonight, and if you're struggling with any of the things that I mentioned or something that I don't mention, our prayer team is here for you. Our prayer team is here for you every weekend after every service, but tonight specifically, the Power Life and Ignition leadership wanted you to be supported in prayer. So we're going to stand in a couple seconds, and if you just want to slip back and just let them silently soak you in prayer here in a little bit, please do that. That's our gift to you. We want to be able to pray for you tonight, but some of the things that they were hearing as they were praying for you is that somebody tonight needs some freedom. Somebody tonight is really wrestling with loneliness. You feel really alone, and our prayer team would love to pray for you. Somebody tonight maybe just needs peace, or they have been feeling a lot of social media pressure. If that's you, our team would love to pray for you. Someone tonight is maybe dealing with some bullying, and you don't know what to do. And if we can pray for you, let us do that. Someone in here is worried, or confused, or just is struggling and needs to know that God's got you covered. If that's you tonight, our prayer team would love to pray for you. So I want you to stand up real quick, and if everybody should have a piece, a puzzle piece. Does everybody have a puzzle piece? If you don't, raise your hand, and we will bring you one. Looks like we've got a few guys that don't have puzzle pieces down here as well. So if we could bring some puzzle pieces, that would be great. I want you, as you're standing, to take a look at your puzzle piece. Take a look at your puzzle piece. And then I want you to show it to your neighbor. Look at the color. Look at the shape. Yours is rainbow. Anybody have blue? Anybody have yellow? Anybody have orange? Yeah, awesome. Okay, you can go ahead and now that you've shown your puzzle piece, you can sit down. If you're still needing a puzzle piece, just keep your hand in the air. We'll get you a puzzle piece. When you looked at your puzzle piece and your neighbor's puzzle piece and you looked at the colors and the shape and all that, what did you see? You saw that every piece was unique. That's right, every piece was different. Every piece was different. Can I tell you a quick story? A story about a kid who was about your age, who didn't really think that he was unique, that he didn't really think he was all that special. In fact, he was the youngest, and he had a bunch of older brothers. And his older brothers made him go outside and do all the stinky, dirty work. And so he was dirty, and he smelled, and his brothers made fun of him, and they teased him, and they picked on him, and sometimes they just even totally forgot about him. In fact, there was one time that a really famous person came over to their house. And he was out taking care of stuff outside, getting all stinky and dirty, and his dad said to his brothers, "Hey, all of you come in the house," and they literally forgot him. So while they were in the house having a party with this famous person, he was out in the pasture, forgotten. And at that moment, he could have really thought, I don't matter. I'm not important. I'm not special. They don't even remember to invite me into the house. He felt like he wasn't significant, and that maybe his uniqueness wasn't important to his family or even to God. But the truth is, God didn't forget about him. God saw him, and he saw his uniqueness. The world might have overlooked him. Even his dad forgot about him. But God doesn't, and he didn't. And it's the same with us. So I want you to take a look at your puzzle piece again, okay? And in a minute, I'm going to ask the production team to put the picture of the puzzle that piece comes from up on the screen. And we're just going to hold it up there for a few seconds, and I want you to find where your piece goes in that puzzle. Okay? So we're going to count down. You can count down with me from 3 to 1. So 3, 2, 1. Hit it, production. Okay, find your piece. Where do you belong? Okay, and turn it off. What? Mel, I couldn't see the picture. I couldn't find myself, my peace. I was looking, but I didn't see my place. I didn't see my place. Guess what? God sees your place. Maybe you didn't see it, but God did. He knows exactly where you belong. He has created you exactly the shape that He has and put you in that place for a reason. And some of you don't feel like that, and that's okay because sometimes it doesn't feel like it. But the truth is, even if it doesn't feel like it, it is true. Why? Because God said it. And what God says is truth. That you matter, and He has plans for you, and He wants you here. Let me ask you this. If you or your neighbor's puzzle piece was missing from that picture, if we put the puzzle together and it was missing, would that puzzle be complete? No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't be complete. Every piece matters. And it's the same with us. But let me tell you the rest of the story about the kid. So one of the reasons the visitor had come to the house was because he was looking to anoint a new king. What? That's weird. And so he had looked at all of this kid's older brothers, and none of them were fit to be king. And finally, someone said, "Oh my gosh, we left David out in the pasture. Somebody go get him." So they went and got David, and they brought him in. And at that moment, the famous person, the prophet, looked at David and said, "You are the missing piece. You are the one that God has brought for this time and this space." And David could not see that when he was out in the pasture with the sheep, stinky. But the truth was, God had brought him for that season, for that reason. He was the right piece at the right time. Even though he didn't feel important, he was. Even though he didn't feel unique, he was. And in his uniqueness, God used the things that he knew and his gifts and his skills and his talents to lead God's people. David probably didn't see that in himself when he was being picked on by his older brothers. But God saw the big picture. And it's the same for every one of us. So tonight, as we are preparing to go into our conversations, before we leave, I want to leave you with another tool, a prayer tool, actually. Liz talked about it, and we're going to practice it. It's what we call breath prayer. And sometimes when we don't feel like we fit, or sometimes we don't feel like people see us, or sometimes we just need help, all we can do is just breathe, but God will meet us in that. And so tonight we're going to learn just a simple prayer that we can pray while we're breathing in and then exhaling out. And when we just pray this simple prayer, not only do we stir up serotonin in our bellies, right? But we call on the God who loves us, who is so very near, as near as he was to David, King David. He wants to be that near to you. So we're going to practice. I want you to stand up again. And I want you to put your hand on your heart. Okay, and we're going to breathe in, and we're going to breathe out. Let's try it again. We're going to breathe in, and we're going to breathe out. And now we're going to try it, and while we're breathing in and we're breathing out, we're going to actually say a prayer to God, and I'm going to lead you in it. So we're going to say, as we breathe in, God, I need your help. And then as we breathe out, please be with me now. Okay, so let's practice. Breathe in. God, I need your help. Please be with me now. God, I need your help. Please be with me now. One more time. God, I need your help. Please be with me now. The other thing you can say is Jesus in, help out. So Jesus, help. Jesus, help. It's just that simple. So if you need prayers tonight, our team would love to pray for you. But before we go, I would like to pray for you. Can you keep your hand on your heart, please? And I will pray. Gracious and holy God, I thank you for every person that's here tonight, every adult, every student. Father, I ask that when we get in moments of crisis, when we get in moments where we feel like we're in over our head, Jesus, as we are breathing, we would be reminded that we can breathe you in and breathe out the fear, the anxiety. Lord, would you remind us in the coming days and weeks that you are as near as our breath, and that you love us more than we can imagine, and that you have called every one of us to be unique, and every one of us is an important piece of the puzzle. Thank you, Lord, for hearing our prayers. Amen.